Okay, in the last class, we did P and I and listing all the possible roots, the P over Q. Today, we're gonna learn the last few steps in this process of factoring, but I am gonna go ahead and review P and I and listing the roots for those of us who are a little lost. So you should already have P and I and all the roots already written down, but again, I'm gonna review them one more time. So step one is to do your P and I chart. So P and I. Okay, the first thing we go to is the positive column. We count how many times it goes from positive to negative and negative to positive. So here is positive to negative, that's a flip. Negative to negative doesn't change, negative to negative doesn't change. So there's only one in our positive column. Now I have to write my function plugging in negative x. Remember, odd changes, even stays the same. This is odd, it's positive, so it changes to negative. Even, stay the same. This is in 1, that's odd, so it's gonna change. This doesn't have an x, so it just stays the same. So now the changing of signs is here and here. So that's a 2 for negative. Your whole row has to equal your highest exponent. For us, that's 3. 2 plus 1 is already 3, so 0 for imaginary. To get the next rows, you subtract by 2. First, you subtract the positive by 2. Then you subtract the negative by 2. And if you can, your last step is to subtract both by 2. So first, positive. I can't subtract by 2 because I need a positive number of roots, so I'll skip positive and go to negative. So bring the 1 down. 2 minus 2 is 0. The whole row has to equal 3, so we'll put a 2 here. Since I couldn't subtract from positive, I can't do both, so there's my P and I chart. Now we're gonna list P over Q, so list all the possibilities of roots. P over Q. Remember the last number is P, the first number is Q. So for here, that's gonna be 18 over 1. Let's list the factors of 18 and the factors of 1. So that is 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, 18. Factors of 1 are just 1. Remember, all of this is either positive or negative. 1 over 1 is 1. 2 over 1 is 2, and so on. So we're just going to have everything over 1, so just itself. Now it looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 roots here. But remember, there are actually 12 because you have the positive version of them and the negative. So now that we know what kind of roots we could have and what our possibilities are, we're gonna go ahead and figure out, okay, well, what are the roots to this equation? And we're gonna do that in step 3. We're gonna test the roots. So we're gonna test the roots using our synthetic division. So I'm gonna pick one of the numbers here to do synthetic division to this polynomial. I always start with 1, negative 1, then 2, negative 2. So kind of go in order here. So I'm gonna start with positive 1. So synthetic division, write your coefficients. So 1, negative 2, negative 21, negative 18. So we're trying to figure out if this one factors in evenly. Remember what we learned with the factor theorem. The remainder has to be 0 if it's a factor. So we're trying to figure out if the remainder is 0. So let's bring down the 1. We're just doing synthetic. 1 times 1 is 1. That'll be negative 1. That's negative 1, so negative 22. That's negative 22. And that makes negative 40. This is our remainder. Since the remainder is not 0, that means this one is not a factor. So I'm gonna go to my next option. I tried positive 1, now I'm gonna try negative 1. So you're gonna keep going until you find one. So list your coefficients again. 1, negative 2, negative 21, negative 18. So everybody do your synthetic. It's negative 1, negative 3 times negative is positive 3. Negative times negative is positive. Oh boy, that remainder is 0. Yay! That means this one is a factor. So let's write what we have left over. So since the root is negative 1 In my equation, that's going to be x plus 1. And then we'll write down what's left over. Remember, when you do synthetic, your answer is always 1 less of the power than you started with. So we'll have x squared minus 3x minus 18. Now we know how to factor this one by hand, so we don't have to do synthetic again. So let's keep factoring. X plus 1. This will be, let's see, x minus 6, x plus 3. So here's my factored form. But my final answer, your roots and x equals, that'll be -1, +6, -3. The last thing you're going to want to do is check